Hey yo, what is going on, viewers of the tube? My name is Tyler. Welcome to the channel that will bring up the things others shy away from. Some people call it FUD. We call it doing our due diligence. And of course, who doesn't like to stir the pot once in a while? And I always lick the spoon. You know the drill. It's time for Chico Crypto. This is an episode I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I know there are some holders of this coin who watch my channel. Just to let you guys know, I'm trying to be as objective as possible and bring up the facts that are worrisome about this project, especially as 2020 rolls around. Now, I don't like the creator of this project. I think he is a pompous bungholio, but don't worry, that is not going to have any influence on my words. Just straight up facts based on the information that is available. So without further ado, let's get into Cardano and what in the hell is going on with still no fully functioning Shelley testnet, which will include staking. And of course, this means no official announcement of when the mainnet will go live. And according to the Cardano roadmap, this is supposed to happen within the next 3 months. Full decentralization and the first provably fair proof of stake network. Well, if you've been involved with Cardano, you have to know delays have been a defining part of this project. I mean, the project was launched all the way back in September of 2015, when they launched the pre-sale in Japan. Fast forward all the way to February 2018, and they only had a centralized blockchain Byron and a buggy wallet Daedalus. But Charles gave an interview on a blockchain podcast around this time, letting everyone know where Cardano will be in 1 year. Let's hear what he had to say.
Where do you see this project in a year?
Well, in a year, we're fully decentralized. We have smart contracts. We have all those things you've known and loved, like lots of liquidity, multi-sig, paper wallets, hardware wallet support, delegations where it needs to be. We have some voting stuff built into it. Within a year, we'll have mobile clients as well, so they'll be running on cell phones. And we'll also be able to, pound for pound, I think, compete with Ethereum and Bitcoin. If we get all that done in a year, then I think that's mission accomplished. And then next year is all about getting that governance where it needs to be. Next year is all about getting enterprise adoption where it needs to be. The next year is all about sharding and getting us from being a system that works really well with tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands to a system that works well with the millions to the billions. And then 2020 is all about just cleaning it up and making sure that the project is done, meaning that if I was to get hit by a bus, Cardano would still be pretty okay, and I can be easily replaced and so forth.
So by February of 2019, fully decentralized, staking, smart contracts, every integration you can think of, sharding, getting TPS up to the millions to billions, and enterprise adoption. Then 2020 finishing up everything, because it sounds like after that Charles might be leaving, which I will get into a bit later. So are they even close to this? No, not even close. And if they get smart contracts out by 2020, I'll be surprised. Well, after these delays, even more delays came to fruition. 2 years ago in 2017, the full Shelley release was slated for Q2 of 2018, as seen from the updated white paper. Well, Q2 rolled around and nothing happened. And then all of 2018 passed, and still no Shelley, not even a testnet. At the end of 2018, Charles talked to the Toshi Times, and he then confirmed that the Shelley update should be expected before the end of first quarter of 2019. Well, Q1 happened and no update, which prompted supporters to ask what the hell is going on. Well, finally they got something out regarding Shelley around June of this year, where they broke the Shelley testnet down into a further roadmap, which included 3 stages. Phase 1, the self-node stage, which wasn't even a network, just users playing around with the node, and this commenced around June. Phase 2 is the network stage, which would be connecting the nodes and scaling the network step by step. And fortunately, this did come. It dropped on September 26, as announced from Charles himself on Twitter. But what about Phase 3, the incentivized testnet, when staking gets implemented and Shelley's full potential is supposedly realized? Well, Charles gave an update on this on August 30th.
More significant announcement is going to be on the 28th. September 20th, I will be in Sofia, Bulgaria for the 2-year anniversary of the launch of Byron. And that's going to be a great day. We're going to hang out with Vasil, who's one of our ambassadors, and he's a great community member. We really do love him. Go plant some trees, and we'll have some fun. And then we'll talk about the Cardano 2020 roadmap of what do we anticipate we're going to do, where are we going to go with the project throughout 2020. And we're also going to announce, more likely than not, the date of the launch of the incentivized testnet, which effectively is the launch of Shelley.
So the incentivized Shelley testnet was supposed to be announced on September 28th when he went to visit Bulgaria and plant some trees. Well, Charles sure did plant some trees and gave his keynote speech, but no announcement of when the fully functioning testnet will come. If he didn't announce when he planned to, this most likely means another delay. What could be causing this? Well, if we look at the testnet's GitHub and contributors, it is being worked on, mostly by 5 people. Although over the past few days, there have been 0 commits. So delays most likely aren't coming due to major bugs or anything like that, or else we would see more changes to the code. In my opinion, this is due to the way Cardano is structured. As you have to know, as a Cardano holder, IOHK and Charles Hoskinson were contracted to build Cardano until 2020, when the contract expires. This can even be seen from the Cardano team page. The second entity working on Cardano is IOHK, a leading cryptocurrency research and development company, which holds the contract to develop the platform until 2020. And remember in that blockchain podcast, Charles talked about getting hit by a bus, which leads me to believe he has planned to be done with Cardano after 2020, when the contract expires. But who is this contract with? Well, first we need to understand how IOHK was formed. Charles, before IOHK, was part of the BitShares team, with Dan Larimer from July 2013 to October of 2013. Some stuff went down, Charles was let go, and what exactly went down is still under NDA. But apparently back in January 2014, Charles broke the NDA by saying it was Dan's sole decision to let him go. So Dan responded, "It wasn't solely my decision, and integrity and honor is something you could learn from Mr. Li Zhaoli, China's biggest Bitcoin whale. I am well aware of the lies that you have been spreading since you left, and would warn everyone Charles is a salesman that tells everyone what they want to hear, and has no compulsion with stretching the truth to absurd lengths or telling outright lies." Dan then says he will abide by the NDA and stop there. He ends it with, "Beware of this shark. He will be your friend one day and plan your destruction the next. He treats people as objects to be manipulated and used for his ends. While we were working together, I always wondered why so many people disliked him and were against him. Now I know." Kicked off the BitShares team, so Charles joins Ethereum from December 2013 to May 2014. And of course, he is booted off that team, which Charles gave us some light into during the February 2018 interview.
Okay, so in the case of Ethereum, this is a philosophical disagreement where we had 2 ways we could do it. I wanted way A, Vitalik wanted way B. Boardroom brawl, my side lost, some people left. Happens all the time. That's the reality of these things.
Boardroom brawl, he lost, so he is gone. And during that same month, February 2018, Charles let us know why. He wanted to accept venture capital and create a for-profit governing structure. Buterin wanted nonprofit and open source, decentralized governance. And apparently he was so pissed off it didn't go his way, he denied his founders Ethereum of 293,000 ETH, which at the time wasn't much money, as Ethereum wasn't even trading yet or released.
I do not own any Ether. I have 0 Ether. Historical fact, I've never actually owned Ether my entire life. I was entitled to 293,000 Ether. I didn't take it. I told them give it to someone else.
So upon leaving Ethereum, he partnered with Jeremy Wood and created IOHK. And to secure funding, an elaborate ICO for a smart contracts platform was conjured, which would rival Ethereum. Especially since Ethereum started trading and Charles' founder stack was now worth millions. Funds needed to be raised, and Charles, even in a Forbes interview, admits he was pretty pissed off at the time. With the Cardano ICO, it's hard to get the exact facts straight because it was 100% marketed in Japan and other Asian countries. So who exactly contracted Cardano to build this is unknown. Was it their Japanese venture arm Emurgo? Was it the Cardano Foundation? Was it Charles himself? Now, what is known is the ICO was aimed at getting investments from wealthy Japanese businessmen. Attain Corporation of Japan joined as a fundraising lead, which if we check out their Facebook page, looks like it was just a made-up company for this ICO, as they haven't posted since February of 2017. Around the same time, banking consultant Michael Parsons joined as chairman of the Cardano Foundation. Here is Jeremy, Charles, and Michael all together, as well as Michael speaking to prospective Japanese buyers, uploaded to the Attain Facebook page on March 28, 2016. Attain partnered with Japanese cryptocurrency salesman Tadashi Izumi, who marketed investing in cryptos as a stress-free lifestyle, as shown here. Also marketing Cardano and comparing it both to BitShares and Ethereum, which have gone 5.4x and 60x. And finally marketing Charles as a genius mathematician and pictured with Tadashi. Suggestive marketing, yes, and once Attain secured funding for IOHK from the Japanese, their staff ceased communicating with the Japanese investors, which of course prompted the Japanese to start calling it a scam, with multiple fraud investigations being performed by concerned Japanese investors. Links for each of these outside investigations are in the description. Well, those calls for fraud stopped once the coin started trading, luckily hitting exchanges and pumping like a madman. These Japanese businessmen got the returns they expected. But this creates a whole problem in itself, as you have token distribution being heavily influenced by one region, Japan. All 4 rounds of the pre-sale ICO are heavily Japanese. Number 1, 100%. Number 2, 99.9%. Number 3, 92.9%, and number 4, 92%. This has been a cause for concern because they will be the big whales, and even Cardano's community is scared from this post on the Cardano forums. Will ADA whales ever give up their power, where the top 100 addresses control over 50% of the supply? So in my opinion, we just need to remember Peter Thiel's law. A startup messed up at its foundation cannot be fixed. And this is exactly what happened. The Cardano Foundation fell apart in November of 2018. Concerned Cardano community members put out an open letter and created a website with an investigation how the Cardano Foundation was handling itself. Here is a short YouTube video showing what was found.
But this whole web of what's going on is kind of crazy. I see that when you click on the investigation button down on the Guardians of Cardano website, you can click this. And of course, if you haven't signed the petition and if you agree with what they're saying, go ahead and sign the petition. I have signed the petition. And there's this entire web of interconnection between people that are working within the foundation, and it's very disturbing. So Michael Parsons is over here, and once again, I don't know Michael Parsons personally, but all this information has been exposed. He seems to wear multiple hats, as you can see from his Twitter. He is a Bitcoin guy, but yet he leads the foundation. You have things coming out like the wallet, the suspected wallet for the Cardano Foundation has somewhere around the neighborhood of 650 million ADA. It might be 648 million if I'm not mistaken. And of course, he's the chairman, so I'm not sure what his salary is. I'm sure he's getting a hefty salary as a chairman. He's probably getting a hefty 6-figure salary as a chairman. Just speculating. In addition to probably having some kind of ADA as a percentage when the Cardano Foundation accomplishes certain tasks.
So Michael Parsons, the guy who was hired all the way back in 2017, hadn't been doing his job and was misappropriating funds. That finally prompted Charles, IOHK, and Emurgo to respond themselves, putting out their own open letter to the community, explaining themselves and asking Mr. Parsons, who was Charles' best friend in 2017, to voluntarily step down.
Things came to a head when it became clear to us that we're probably not going to get board diversity ever at the moment with Michael Parsons as chairman of the foundation.
Which it looks like Mr. Parsons did, as seen from a statement from the Cardano Foundation. But there are still answers to be explained about the foundation, as all of the original members have left except one. Like, what is up with the foundation's 648 million ADA? And after doing this investigation, I'm left with some questions that I hope good old Charlie boy can answer, because I'm not the only one thinking them. Some of your community is too. Number 1, who is IOHK's contract for building Cardano with? Can we see a copy of that contract? And number 2, what happened with Michael Parsons and the entire Cardano Foundation? You are obviously friends with them. And are any of these people entitled to any of that 648 million ADA from the foundation or any other ADA? And finally, number 3, what happens by the end of 2020 if Cardano is not fully decentralized, with functioning smart contracts and fully functioning decentralized governance? The Cardano blockchain will now be owned by the community, but they won't be able to vote on who is going to take over development. Will IOHK continue even though their contract is complete? These are all questions that need answered, and if Charlie just responds with FUD, Chico Crypto is making stuff up, he's our Space's version of the TMZ meets the National Enquirer, you know something is up. Cheers, I'll see you next time.